Good evening, sir. Tonight we have 5 questions for you that have been carefully selected so that our YouTube audience can get to know you. Here is our first question. As you know, there are many card collecting YouTubers out there. We would like to know what you think will separate yourself from the others.
I think there's always room for quality content, good programming. And if you can make it entertaining, all the better. And that's what I hope to do.
Very well, sir. Our second question is as follows. What do you think is classy and not so classy about card collecting?
I'll start with the not so classy. What's not so classy is when you find a jewel, a card that has been undergraded perhaps, incredible centering, incredible eye appeal, and the seller, the dealers at these shows want to tag on not just a little premium, but double, triple, even quadruple I've seen. Comps. Not fair, not classy. And I'll tell you what makes it not fair. When you try to go sell the card back, the first thing they want to do is just quote what grade the card got. When they're selling it to you, they want to tell you that the card's undergraded. But when you sell it back to them, and oh, by the way, 70%, 60%, 50% of what comps are going for on that particular card, they want to quote the grade then. That's not fair. That's not classy. But these non-classy individuals, fortunately, don't make up the majority of a great industry. Classy is the great YouTubers and the channels that have been doing a fabulous job of informing us about vintage cards and their origins and where they came from and their history. I think of Greg at Midlife Sports Cards. He's so informative, so caring, so well prepared. You can tell he really puts prep, a lot of prep into each of the shows. I so appreciate him and I've learned a lot. I also like Mike at Baseball Card Collector. My favorite episodes are when he's doing his showcase showdowns with Chris from Missouri. That's a lot of fun. And you get a chance to see a lot of cards. What a vast and extensive collection they both have. Very admirable. That's classy.
All right, sir. Here is our third question for you. Do you think that some people can get carried away and develop an unhealthy addiction to card collecting? If so, that would be most concerning.
That could be concerning, especially if they're not paying their mortgages or car payments. I think what us collectors potentially or are addicted to is the adrenaline rush of a new card. It's an adrenaline rush is what we're addicted to. It's the opening of the box on mail day. It's the being surrounded by your friends or family or your son or your father next to you and purchasing a card and the excitement of it. But just like chewing gum and just like anything, whether it be buying a car or a house or a new pair of shoes, that thrill wears off quickly. And then you're chasing the next rush. I've gotten my thrills in so many areas. I've been in shark cages. I've held bear cubs. I've held Wild Bill Hickok's gun in my hand. They were all thrilling and had rushes of their own. But there's something about opening up a card when it comes in the mail and adding it to your collection, or when you're at a card show and you finally found what you've been looking for so long, and there it is, and the negotiations, and then coming away with that card and the thrill of coming home and laying your cards out and adding that to the collection is so thrilling. It's an addiction. I agree. I just think that each person just has to set a budget, be disciplined, and maybe even walk away. There's times where I put a self-imposed exile from the hobby if I thought that I was getting a bit carried away and spending too much money and exceeding in the budget I'd set for the year on cards, and walked away for a while. So yes, it can be concerning. And I think each person should be aware of that.
Fourth question. When you are selecting a card for your own collection, what do you put a high priority on?
Centering. Starts and ends with centering for me. I once had a Ty Cobb Philadelphia Caramel E95. The color was beautiful. There was no markings on the card whatsoever. Top to bottom was great, the centering. But left to right, 65, 35, 70, 30 maybe even, I couldn't live with it. I ended up selling that card. I haven't been able to find one to replace it. But when I talk to my good friends out there and I tell them, please keep an eye out, that's one card I would jump on very quickly if it had the centering I was looking for. Centering and eye appeal, that's what it's all about for me. I don't care about the grade. I care about when I first initially look at that card, does it pop? I like an exceptional looking card. And I think it starts and ends, like I said in the beginning of this, with centering.
All right, sir. This final question is very difficult. If you could only choose one person in sports to collect, who would it be?
You're right. That is a very difficult question. And I don't think it's the right answer. I know that for a fact. There's not a right answer here. But the one player that stands out for me, the one player that I find story is so interesting is Ted Williams. My grandfather, who grew up in Boston, told me about Ted Williams. I never saw him play other than through his highlights and read books and watched documentaries on him. I was so fascinated with Ted Williams, the perfectionist that he was in everything that he did, in 3 Hall of Fames. Amazing. The best hitter ever, and his eccentric ways. He loved fly fishing. My grandfather told me there was no one like Ted Williams. And after I did my research and after I got to know him for myself, I concur. Ted Williams is the person that, if I could only collect one, he would be the one.